All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's been a long time since there's been a bunch of us in a room like this. This is something we've really been looking forward to. So today, we have a number of awards that the department gives, and I thought it would be really fitting as things seem to start returning to sort of semi-normal that we give some of those, and also use this as an opportunity to talk and celebrate some of the things that we've done and accomplished in the last 2 years. And I have to say, putting this together has been pretty inspirational, knowing that I get to work with this community. You guys have just been amazing and should be extraordinarily proud of the way this department has worked through the last couple of years. It was just, yes. Of course, my slide changer is not working, so I'm going to have to stand back here. And the slides are not working. Here we go. Come on. Page. There we go. Okay, now it's working. There we go. Okay. So it was just over 2 years ago that we got this memo saying that, COVID is rapidly changing, and we're going to move classes online when they resume after spring recess. And we thought, okay, yeah, we're just going to do that for a week or two, and everything will be back to normal right away. And it got bad fast. Right? A week later, they said, unless you're working directly on COVID-19 or maintaining critical laboratory infrastructure, you're going home. March 20th. And we all went home. We shut down the labs, and we had no idea what the hell was going to happen. And that was pretty rough. And we had to, we have a lot of critical infrastructure in this place. And so we, had to figure out how we were going to do this. So I don't know about you, but I've sort of suppressed a lot of these memories. It's a good coping mechanism, but we moved into every space of the department. We separated all of the hoods as far as we could. We occupied every lab. People were occupying janitors' closets, seminar rooms for their offices. The theoreticians, you all went home. You could live on the internet, but anyone doing experimental work, this was an enormous challenge. But we did. We figured out how to do this. We got back online. I think by sometime in June, we were faster than any other department that I know of. But things just kept getting worse, and and we had to band together to figure out how to make everything work. It took this team to get us back and going, right? So most of this team was designated as critical employees. We had these badges that we could show the National Guard that would let us through to the department to get in. Aaron, organizes the CBIC, maintained the instrument center going, the stockroom staff. Especially, I have to give a special shout out to Brian. There was a period of a couple of weeks where he was the only person that I saw. I had to come in and do safety sweeps of the building, and Brian was the lone sentry for the department, and did so cheerily. It was, He told me, he says, yeah, if I'm at home, I'll just be too close to the fridge, right? So he enjoyed that. And then the teaching lab and the support team, helped us prepare, to get going for the next year. And, we thought, okay, over the summer we're sort of, coming back. But then, we had another hit. Charlie Smuttenmeyer left us, far too early. We had to deal with, keeping his lab going so that everyone could graduate, and they're starting to graduate, right? Which is great. But we banded together and continued to move on, and we prepared for the next semester, right? And it turned out to be 2 years of teaching remotely. And we teach most of the laboratory classes at Yale. This department does. I mean, it's the vast majority of the laboratory registrations. And so coming up with this hybrid approach, and then all this online laboratory, and then getting people back in person. And not a complaint from everyone. We all figured out how to do it safely, and it was a great success, and all of our students just really, really appreciated it. It was one of the few in-person experiences that they had. It just was amazing how well we did. In this time period, I can't believe the number of new staff and students and researchers that we've added remotely. I mean, I had no clue that we could do this, right? So we had a lot of staff that we said farewell to. Barb in the stockroom retired. Brett and Lisa got new opportunities. Xiaoling retired. Laura DeMonte decided to stay home with her family in this time. And we hired new staff that we had only met on Zoom, which was a very strange experience, and very successful. Kara and Maggie, our academic supports, and we couldn't be working without them. And Dave and Christy in the stock room for our financials, Bob in the Instrument Center to replace Xiaoling. We did all of this remotely. It's just I didn't think we could possibly do that, and it's been actually a big success. And then this is another big success. This whole PowerPoint, Charlene, and the digital bond, right? We have so much for this department to communicate and publicize, right? And so getting our communications in the modern era, right? We have someone now who can handle Twitter and wonder what the hell's going to happen with Elon Musk running it now, right? I don't have to worry about that. This is so fantastic, right? And this digital bond, this is everywhere. Every administrator at the university gets this, and they love it, and the people at OPAC love it. And instead now of saying, how come all the articles are from the med school? Now people can say, how come all the articles from chemistry? Right? It's because we've got great stuff. So woohoo to all of you, right, for giving all this content to Charlotte. We've hired a bunch of new faculty. We've said goodbye to some. Some of them are still coming back. Bob retired. Right? He's right here. Right? But we would have had a party for Bob, a big party for Bob, and we already had it. It was a Zoom thing, So but that doesn't really constitute a party, right? No rubber chicken at the New Haven Lawn Club, right? And people telling embarrassing stories about you in person. Yeah. It's going to happen, right? Ziad went off to Moderna, right? Martin retired after 66 years. Well, why do I remember that number? That's because Martin joined the faculty before I was born. He joined in July of the year that I was born in November. Okay, so I'm 66, so I can remember that. That's how long. Stacy, where's Stacy? Stacy, it was our last interview, right? In-person interview. Right? And then, I had to walk around on Zoom, showing her potential lab space on my laptop because she didn't get the in-person visit. Normally you get an in-person visit and you get to negotiate, and it was like, no, I better accept that offer now because they're all getting withdrawn, right? So, so immediately, right? Tian Yu never came, bought us sight unseen, right? He was probably thinking the same thing about us, but we knew who was getting the better end of the deal here, right? And Amy Marie. So luckily, Amy Marie knew this place, right? In our latest edition. Again, this whole process online, just amazing that we could do this. Postdocs. So there's been 52 new ones, right? Joined the department in research sciences, right? During this time period. Graduate students. We have 2 classes of graduate students in 2020. 2021, you guys were recruited virtually. You came virtually. You didn't even get to go to a YCS where you got to stand here and then tell us an amusing fact about yourself, right? Well, we're going to get to do that this year, I think. And then the research, and the fact that the digital bond lays this out here for all of our alumni to see. They just love this. There's just so many great advances that have been made, right, that are coming out of the department as we go. It just goes on and on and on that we've been able to continue to do this. And I just think that's just simply amazing. Now, we have a lot of events, right? So we have to communicate our science. We have to talk to one another. We have to celebrate the accomplishments, right? And normally have a lot of events. And that need has been going on via Zoom anyway. It's just amazing how much has happened. Things like our safety day, our outreach, the open labs, science on Saturdays I quit doing, and I hope to do again in the fall. But, there's all sorts of online outreach that's happening. YCSs, those have happened online, right? And so hopefully this year we're going to have a real one, right? Especially the celebration of women in chemistry as part of the 50th anniversary of coeducation at Yale. That happened. Panel discussions. The design of the display that we have downstairs now, it's all done via Zoom and online, right? So you guys really have accomplished, just tons. And visiting days, our big event, right? The visiting days teams that we have, right? So this is a huge effort, right, of all the staff. A lot of faculty, a lot of staff support that makes certain this happens, and it happened online in a couple of years in a row, multiple times, right? And not without the graduate student volunteers and our liaisons, right? You guys, a hand to everybody who made this happen. It was really extraordinarily successful. We have 42 students coming, right? Right, we kind of overdid. Yeah, Caitlin's laughing. Yeah, it's all your fault, Caitlin. Yes. Right, promising the timeshares and all of that was like a little over the top. Okay, right. If you join Caitlin's group, you get a timeshare in the Bahamas. So why isn't everybody coming? Of course, they're all coming, right? So this was great, and it's the spirit of our community. And our alumni during this time, a lot, but in large because of our new communications efforts, our alumni are much more aware than they ever have been of what's going on in the department, and we're getting gifts. And I think that's a real testament to what's going on, and it supports things like the YCS and visiting days. That's where we get the funds to do that. And so for those that will be able to see this online, I wish I could show all of their names, but Yale policy doesn't let us do that sort of thing, right? A lot of social upheaval in this time also, right? And before the university got with it, the department had a diversity and climate committee, often with the leadership of Pat Holland as a director of graduate student climate and diversity. Give Pat a hand for doing this. This committee has done a ton of work and continues to do a ton of work. So one of the great accomplishments, we have a Novachet chapter here in the department. I think we can be really proud of the fact that we have that. And there are lots of different DEI sorts of initiatives. I think most important is that that our efforts were seen as a model by the Dean of Science and the university leadership. And of course now they have their top-down DEI, but we can be proud of the fact that we led the way. What was a tough one for me? The gender-neutral bathrooms. That was a lot of my time, right, involved in that, right, and all the renovations that went on. And one I'll point out here that this group is going to be at the picnic. You'll see name tags, right? And so talk to the DCC about how to get involved. They've got an e-zine called the Periodical. They want editors, right? And so if you're looking for a way to get involved with this group, please search them out today, this afternoon. Faculty have been hitting it out of the park, right? Coming up with awards, Stacy, has been recognized as an emerging investigator. Caitlin's got a Scialog Award, right? We've had, 3 more faculty given named chairs. Elsa was elected a member of Sigma Xi. Gary got a Graduate Mentor Award. Jason, American Society of Farm and Cognicy Award. Hai Lang, as usual, is a Claravet highly cited researcher. And Bob, as I'll show on the next slide, he's always been a Claravet highly cited researcher. Sarah got the Greer Prize. This is a big thing at a Yale Prize. This is given out to extraordinarily promising junior faculty. A Sloan, after a long drought in the department, and a Mark Foundation Emerging Leader Award. Jim? Is Jim here? Jim here? Jim, yes, Jim. Jim was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Bill was a citation Claravet laureate, supposedly a harbinger of Nobel honors to come. And of course, Bob, as he just said, has been a Claravet highly cited researcher ever since, and got this Franco-American Lectureship Prize as well, and then promptly retires. Okay. Right. A couple of big ACS awards. John couldn't be here today. He's visiting family. No. Johnson is here. Yes, John is not here. And if you know John like I do, he hates awards, right? So the fact that he's smiling in this picture and he got this award, really well deserved, for his work in synthetic organic chemistry. Mark got the E. Bright Wilson Award. These are things that we would have had, glasses of champagne, about. Sharon, of course, I couldn't list all the awards that Sharon's got, right? She just seems to be collecting every single one of them. But the Gibbs Medal, and it's just a testament again to the quality of the faculty we have. And last but not least here, Scott Miller. He couldn't be here today. Scott was elected to the National Academy back in 2020, and got an email, congratulations. Usually there's a big party and whatnot, and there was absolutely nothing because we were in the middle of the pandemic. He's not here today because he's in Washington, D.C. for the induction of the NAS members, right, that didn't get an induction ceremony back in 2020, right? So he wishes he could be here, but he didn't make it. Students, right? So there are a lot of student awards. This is a handful of the ones I've pulled from the digital bond. I'm, sorry to everyone that I've missed, right? But there's a lot. Deandra got I think the latest one on the list, right? The 3-minute thesis, right? She took first place for that. Congratulations, Deandra. And you guys are knocking out of the park and getting the NSF, fellowship. So, congratulations to all the NSF fellows. Stand up. Come on. Some of you are here. None of them are here. Okay. Right? Okay, so now to some of the awards that the department gives. So there's a number of awards that we hand out to the undergraduates. And these are typically given at graduation. So for one of them, for instance, is the Arthur Fleischer Award for outstanding performance in chemistry. It's usually given to graduating seniors that have done exceptional in research. And Margot Fewer and Sam Warren got those in 2020. In 2021, Dan DePremio and Angela Gong. The 2022s will be announced in their colleges at graduation. But that award was established by the Fleischer family. And as many of the award endowments have, grew so fast that the awards would have been ridiculously large. And then during the financial crisis, Yale decided to hold all awards at $1,000 and not let them be any bigger. But the excess income still kept going, and so that had to be redirected towards other activities. Right? Even prior to that, when the awards were cut down to $1,000, Don Crothers, a former chair of the department, who's good friends with the Fleischers, told them that one of the things that we could do with this money, besides giving awards, would be to support summer fellows, right? Support undergraduates in their summer research experiences especially between their junior and senior year, right? And we've had tons of chem majors that have gotten these. These are the ones that were in 2010 to 2019. And the one of the family members, Ev Fleischer, as you can see, was a dean at Colorado and at Irvine. He's an emeritus professor at Irvine at the moment. And I'm going to try to get Ev on the phone here. Okay, Ev, are you there?
I am here.
Great. So I've always wanted to get Ev, out, to the department to help us induct the next set of Fleischer Award winners, right? And we tried 4 years ago, but I think Ev, your excuse was it was your wife's 80th birthday and you were going to Paris. And I knew I wasn't going to get you to come to Yale and not go to Paris, right? Right? And then they had wildfires at their home in Uray, and that was a problem. Then there was COVID, so we figured we better just figure out how to get Ev here virtually, right? So Ev, why don't you say a little bit about what the Fleischer Fellows mean to the Fleischer family?
Yeah. Well, I very pleased to hear what's going on in the department. And Kurt and his group certainly spent a lot of time trying to get all the good information. The Fleischer Fellows started when my father and his two brothers all got their bachelor's and PhDs at Yale. And they all worked with the same guy who worked on the phase diagram. And I can't remember his name, but they were very distinguished students. They all graduated summa cum laude, and they all did a good job with their PhD. So I came up with the idea we should set up an award in my father's name to maybe give the best student or two who's going to graduate school some money. It was $1,000. So I put it together with one of the people in the chair in the whatever department is that sets these up. And they said, well, if you can come up with $50,000, we'll set the award up. So I called my brothers and told them what I wanted to do, and they thought it was great. And they were both a little richer than I was, but we all chipped in the money. And so the person taking care of it said, it's almost done, it's almost done. Then a week before it was all going to get signed, she called and said, there's been a change. The minimum you can give now is $75,000.
This is how we get our alumni to love us.
I don't know if this is typical Yale, but it might be. So I called my brother, who's a lawyer in New York, and said it, and he just wrote a check. And so for the first maybe, and that was in 90. And it is amazing. I mean, I don't think it's a big secret. But, well, the award grew because Yale always has been the leader in investing their money. And so my brothers kept saying, well, let's give him $3,000 or $4,000 for the award. So I tried for years to do that, and Kurt even knows some of this. And they keep saying there was a law against this, and blah. They gave all this stuff, and it was fairly annoying because I didn't exactly know what they were doing with the extra money. So I called Don Crothers, who was your chair at one time and a classmate of mine. I had two classmates who I had to always ask. I never wanted to ask how they did on exams because they always did better than I did. Nevertheless, I asked Don, who not only was the chair, but I think had a certain amount of influence on the campus. Maybe he could have been the president. And he convinced the money people to use any extra money over the we were giving 3 or 4 Fleischer awards to these fellows, and they could work in the lab in the summer. And I must say, when Kurt came along, he really got all the paperwork done, and now it's expanded into, I think I just counted, there have been 38 Fleischer fellows who get supported in the summer.
And so, Ev, who's the most famous of the bunch? I know you keep track of that.
Yeah. I can honestly say my 86-year-old mind can't remember. Can't remember names very well, but
you counted a number of NAS members that had these, right?
She's an inorganic chemist who was elected to the academy, and she might have moved, but she did all her work at Michigan.
Yeah, it's Melanie Sanford. Yeah.
And there might be one other that's there. I'll have a look.
Would you like to meet the new class, Ev?
Sure.
Let's see here. So, 2022, here we go. Let's see if we can unhide them. I got to move your face, Ed. Let's see if I can do that. Let's see if I can move Ev. Okay, so we're going to move Ev. Here we go. So, for 2022, I know Cameron's not here. Maria is probably not. Is Madison, are you here? Where's Madison? Madison, come on down. Come on down and say hi to Ev. And Alicia, are you here? Yeah, come on down. Yeah. Oh, Maria, you are here. All right, so Ev, So here are three of the new fellows. I know Cameron couldn't be here today, right? But you guys can take off your masks and say hi to Ev. Oh, they want you to come over here. You got to come over here so they can see on the webcam. Yeah. All right. So this is the latest crop, Ev.
Hello. Congratulations. Now, wherever you go, when your career gets to be a faculty member, you can put you were a Fleischer Fellow. And interesting, sometimes I'll look at people, someone did a really good paper, and I'll look them up, and on their vita, it will say Fleischer Fellow, Yale, 1999. So I congratulate you. And if I was there, I could give you some information of what I did at Yale, which, being in the lab when I was an undergrad, actually set the stage for most of my research over the years on porphyrins. I have to explain to my wife many times, even though I work on, I did the first structures of porphyrins, made the first water-soluble porphyrins, whatever. I had to show her pictures, and she said, well, they're all carbon atoms. You must be an organic chemist. I said, no, I'm just interested in this little atom in the middle.
All right, well, everyone, let's thank Ev again. And congratulate our Fleischer Fellows. And a special thanks to the Fleischer family for establishing this great fund for the department.
Yeah, we're good. I'm going to give my daughter some information on it. So eventually the ones who set it up won't be around. And I want to make sure the university and the department keeps pushing to make sure the money, in another 10 years, you'll maybe have to find another use for the money. I don't know how.
Well, hopefully it's one that the department wants, right? And I have a feeling, Ev, that you are not going to let them get away with anything that you would think is shady. I'm quite confident of that. So everyone, thank to Ev again. And let me see, I'm going to hide you now, Ev. We'll be back to the slideshow. Yeah, what? Okay, if I can. Not sure how. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So another prize that the department has that has a lot of history is the Wolfgang Prize. So Richard Wolfgang was a faculty member here. Got it? So you slide it off the screen. You have to grab and slide. There we go. Yeah. He was a nuclear chemist. At least that's how he's described. All I remember, he was a chemical physicist. I think Jim Cross, I think even John Tully, if I remember right. Does that sound right, Pat? Yes. Actually did experimental work with Dick Wolfgang before he decided he broke too many bolts and should become a theoretician. Dick died in a boating accident, left us too soon, and his group and family established an award in his name, the Wolfgang Prize, given to our graduate students for excellence in their research. It used to be a single prize. Again, as with the Fleischer, it's kind of grown to where we give a few more than we had in the past. This year was an extraordinarily competitive year. There were, I think, a record number of nominations for the Wolfgang Prize. And when I saw the list, I was really bowled over. I kind of wish we could have given the entire list of nominees Wolfgang Prizes. There would have been upwards of 18, I think, if we had. But the committee had to select a few, and so this year's class of Wolfgang Prize winners are here. David Charbonneau. David, are you here? David's not here. Yeah. I know that Ethan wanted to be here. He changed a meeting so he could be here, right? And I got a text from him about an hour ago saying that his wife tested positive for COVID. And so he's staying home. Lizzie is not around, right? Coraline, is Coraline here? Nope. All right, so these are our class, so let's give them a hand, right? Okay. Now we have another award, right? And this is the first time this award has been given. Harry Wasserman. Do you have the envelope? There's the envelope. There's an envelope with this one. Okay. All right. Harry Wasserman was a legendary teacher of organic chemistry. He was a synthetic organic chemist. He's here for 50 years. He came in an era where you joined the faculty as an instructor in one of the classes of instructors, much like our preceptors, right? And then if they liked you, they let you, become an assistant professor. And that gave you privileges to, if the chair's secretary said it was okay, you could go to the stockroom and get glassware to do research, right? So Harry grew up in that era, taught here for 50 years and became a member of the National Academy. He was an accomplished watercolor painter and also a clarinet player and played in a jazz band. And you may have heard of his wife, Elga Wasserman. She was also an important figure at Yale, worked for Kingman Brewster in the formation of coeducation, and was the woman who beat down the door at Morey's and got that to quit being a single-sex institution. So they were, Yale through and through and through. Harry really thought that being a great teacher was part of the calling that made you a really great professor, and he wanted to encourage that, and his family wanted to see that get encouraged as well. And so Elga, before her death, along with his children, wanted to establish a Wasserman Prize for teaching, excellence in teaching undergraduate chemistry, to be given to a tenured faculty member, to encourage the tenured faculty to take this seriously, not just as something that they had to do to get tenure, that they should continue doing that. So Harry was really quite passionate about this. And so the family took Harry's research accounts that were left over. There were donations that were made from his group. His watercolors, and so Harry had art shows out at Truro and around, and these have sold, and the rights to these were given to Yale, and the proceeds from those sales went into this indenture. And much like the story we heard from Ev, that they sort of changed the rules. Well, they changed the rules sort of halfway, and it wasn't a big enough endowment, and it sat there for quite some time until Ben Pollock, as provost, on his way out the door, sort of like doing pardons, I guess, as the provost said, I'm going to tell you guys we're going to suspend this rule, and that's an endowment now. And he did that for us, right? And so they established the Wasserman Prize. Now, Harry's famous for the Margarita Lecture. So I would have played this for you. There'll be a link to it on the website with the announcement. But at Harry's retirement, there's a great Super 8mm film shown of this, right? Of Harry, giving a lecture where he's, his SN1, SN2 lecture, and he's showing that chloride is not going to displace hydroxide in ethanol, right? And because he says he's going to prove this because if he says this is poisonous. I'm not quite sure, I guess if there's enough of it, right? But he says this would be poisonous, and so he wants to show that if you add, chloride in the form of salt to ethanol in the form of tequila, right, that it's okay to drink, right? And he does this great drawing of a margarita that you can't quite see here, with the salt around the rim, right? And if this takes place, it would generate hydroxide and be poison, all right? So it's a very entertaining video. I mean, he owned this room, as his group would say. And so the inaugural recipient of the Wasserman Award is Pat Vaccaro, right? So this. Stand up, Pat. Stand up, Pat. Come on, stand up, Pat. Yes. Yes. So the department got nominations from students, all of our chemistry majors, right? And in addition, we partnered with the Porvu Center, who deals with the teaching evaluations, and they also, give out all of the Yale College teaching prizes. They informed us. There was a faculty group that then looked at the nominations. The sorts of things that students said about Pat, and this was for teaching PChem, okay? Right? It's nothing short of gifted, goes far beyond what is required of a lecturer, provides immaculate lecture notes and presentations. One in particular says, as a student with a disability, the structure and thoroughness of his lecture style is really helpful because I struggle to stay organized. His materials and lectures make it really easy for me to get back on track. The student, basically, they couldn't have been a chem major if it wasn't for Pat and all the time that he spends, right? And so the faculty committee could have thought of no one more deserving. This, carries a $3,000 stipend with it, right? So congratulations, Pat. Okay, so Fauci, it was on Tuesday, said that we were out of the pandemic phase, right? And then he wheeled it back and said, well, kind of a different pandemic phase. I'm going to stick with the first one, I think. Right? And so, when it rains, it pours. I don't know. I just had to put this in. This is what I was greeted with this morning, right? And the response to this is just amazing. The resilience of this crew when I got called in to try to get physical plant, who's going to have construction crew. They have construction crews here right now, ripping out the wet drywall and replacing it, and hopefully everything will be back in order sometime next week. But I was amazed to see everyone moving chemicals, moving refrigerators, getting set up in the empty lab modules, because they knew when Seth got back, there was going to be hell to pay if they weren't doing reactions, right? So you guys are amazing. Thank you, and the department will get everything it can, right? So thank you all for this, and hopefully the picnic today will be a marker to tell us that times have changed for the better, and we'll be more back to normal. Thank you.